It's time to finish up our wind chime project, and Julie McGuffey has joined me, and we have an assembly line going here. So one of the first things you need in order to etch your wind chime is a stencil, a mask that you can put on the bottle, and the cream works through that. So Julie, you've provided some really cool artwork here, and I've already scanned it into the electronic die cutting machine. You could use clip art or drawings or anything, right?
Just anything you like.
So I've got that scanned in, and then this is a special kind of vinyl, isn't it? While I load it, what makes this vinyl so cool?
Well, this is adhesive on the other side, and this is what we're going to use to actually make the stencil. And the etching cream that we're using for the glass, it's not going to affect this vinyl at all. And you're going to do a setting which is going to give us a kiss cut, right? Do you want to explain what a kiss cut is?
A kiss cut, we only want to cut the very topmost layer of the vinyl and not go through to the backing underneath.
Right.
So this way the backing's really going to hold everything together. And so as we're cutting this, you've got one already laid out here on the mat. And what's happening over here?
Okay, well, as I said, we have a production line going, so while that's cutting, then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to weed the stencil. And what weeding means is that I'm going to pull away areas that we want to etch. I'm going to expose them. And I have to hold it up to the light, because as you can see, this line is not very easy to see. And I'm using a little pick tool, and I'm going to pull away gently. Now you'll notice that I started away from the edge. You don't want to pull the pattern away from the edge because you don't want to distort that edge, because otherwise your etching would look pretty jagged.
And weeding is just like weeding weeds out of your garden.
Exactly.
You're taking away the parts we don't like.
Except this is a lot more fun.
Well, and there's a lot of detail there. Maybe we should jump to the moon, because
I
that
think
looks
so
like it's
too,
easier.
because the sun is a beautiful design, but very detailed. Now this is a moon. Again, I'm going into the center with the pick tool, pull it up, and there we go. And now we can see our moon.
Wait, I'm going to take that. Let's have that.
You know what? You can use that, Joe, to actually do a different kind of etching.
So now we have to get this on the glass somehow, right?
I'm going to use a transfer paper, and this is actually going to stick right on top of this stencil.
And what does the transfer paper really do?
Well, it's going to transfer the stencil right onto the glass. It's going to lift it off the backing sheet. Here, let me just pull it a little bit at the corner, okay? Now I'm going to lift gently. And actually, if you're doing a really detailed design, make sure you go over it firmly with a squeegee. It's kind of like using a brayer for these stencils.
So if it had lots of interior pieces and parts, it stays all lined up. You don't have to reline anything up.
It does.
Wow, how cool is that?
Okay, so now we've lifted it right off here.
Let me help take this out of the way.
Take that out of the way, and then I have a bottle. Now we don't want the bottle to roll, so I just rolled a little bit of a tea towel. So it's going to stay in place. Make sure this is the right side up, and then I'm going to place the stencil right on top of the glass.
And that glass is clean and...
Right, and clean probably with vinegar, because we have to make sure it really is really clean. Is that right, Joe? Is that what you use too?
I use that or an alcohol wipe.
That's a good idea.
And you're pressing down really well. We want that vinyl to really adhere to that bottle.
Exactly. Now only over the areas that are to be etched. The edges, it doesn't really matter very much. And now I'm going to remove the transfer.
And I've got another one cut, so when we're ready to weed, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay.
Look at that. So the tape
Isn't that cool?
comes right off. And now that
and the stencil is in place. Now, this is a curved surface. This is a bottle, and I don't want the cream to run. So I'm just going to build a little bridge on either side, and actually put some on the bottom too, because I don't want to etch the bottom of the bottle.
So you're just protecting it.
And then I'm just protecting it. And this is actually going to come up like this. It's going, as I say, it's going to make like a little bridge. And we can put one on the other side too. You save all these little extra bits. You can also use masking tape.
And now we're ready to apply the cream.
Right. Now then, this is a cream. And for this particular project, the cream is a lot better than the liquid. It's easier to use. And I'm using a plastic spoon.
It's kind of like condensed milk. It's a little thick, but not super thick.
It is. And you know what, Joe? I probably should have worn gloves, but I know I'm not actually going to touch the cream at this point, so I think we'll be okay. And I'm going to spread it evenly with the back of the spoon.
And we just make sure it's all covered.
We make sure that all the open areas are covered with the etching cream.
Now, how long does that cook for?
This is going to sit for 15 minutes. But guess what? We already have one done, right?
Let's see what
part of our
happens next.
production line. Can we just move this away?
I got
and
it.
then we will bring in the water. And we are going to look at our etched moon on this glass bottle. Now, first of all, I'm going to actually reclaim some of this cream because it is reusable.
Wait, reusable? I can use this over and over
you
again.
can,
Do
and we're
hundreds
making,
of these
yes,
things?
we're making a lot of bottles, and believe me, we will make hundreds. Now, normally I would take off every little bit, okay?
But I can't wait. I'm
But
dying
I
to see
can't
what's
wait.
happening.
I know. So now we're going to actually rinse the residue off. So we have a sponge and some water. And you always want to make sure that you don't do this over a porcelain sink. You're working at home. It is etching. It will remove a glaze.
So
make sure
this
we've
is
got
just
everything
plain
off.
water, and you're just rinsing?
Just plain water, and we're just rinsing.
Okay, here goes.
There we go. Okay.
I think this is
now
the
then,
exciting part.
I know. I've got a little scraper here because remember, this vinyl is really firmly pressed on there. So let's get this started. And
Oh, I can see it already.
there we go. Let me pull this off. And there's a little bit of cream I didn't get off there. I'm sorry. And it will etch, but we can do something. And let's get the little eye off. And then we're going to wipe it with this cloth.
Wow, look at that.
And look at that.
Oh, that moon is great.
Isn't it cool?
So we've got one already done here with the exact same moon, and assembly is really a breeze. We made the paddle earlier, and a little screw eye goes in the top of the paddle, and then about 3 inches of chain to a large screw eye. And this is the cool part. This whistle just goes inside the wagon wheel. The screw eye goes here, and on the other side of the whistle, so the wagon wheel is kind of trapped. And then we're going to just attach this in. Now, this is why I started with a pilot hole, because you want this to be somewhat tight, and you can
And then
see
you can
how
just do
easy that goes
you
in.
Use your hands. You don't
Right.
need a special tool
And
to do
then
that, right?
about 5 inches from there is a key ring, and that's what prevents the whole chain from pulling out of the bottle. So I'm not going to screw these all the way in. Sometimes I have to put a screwdriver through the opening just so that I have some leverage. And let's slide this in, even without the paddle. But you can see how that happens. We pull this through,
And the ring
the
acts as a
keychain
stopper
stops
at the neck.
there.
That
Now you
is
have some
really
other
cool.
beautiful things. Let's look just quick.
Yeah, well, you can etch clear bottles, but you can also etch colored bottles too.
How cool is
Isn't
that?
that pretty? The blue.
I love it.
Yeah, put them over votive candles, the little
And
LED.
even you made a hummingbird feeder too. That's pretty fantastic. So
that pretty?
lots of goodies you can make with etching glass.